Are you hungry for something? Need a meal that owns you? Goy Slop's Brown Sludge is your corporate calling. Our secret brown goo is mixed to keep you craving. Corporate crafted sludge made to own your appetite.
I love Goy Slop because the corporations say it's good. Me, my wife, and her lover eat it daily.
I'm a registered sex offender, but this goo don't judge. I love Goy Slop.
Eat Goy Slop, love the goo, serve the mega corporations. Call 1-800-SLOP-GOY now and join the slop revolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's Too Late with Alan Mosley.
Wow. It's very energetic of you. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
I figured I'd bring it.
Okay. Guys, welcome back for another episode of It's Too Late. I am your host, Alan Mosley, joined as always by the #1 producer in late night. It's Dave Willimowski. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm suddenly doing good.
Yeah?
Like
What?
just now.
That is the power of late night television.
It is.
Yeah.
When you got a good show.
We'll get to that in a little bit. Man,
Okay.
you know, I feel like I have to apologize for last week. We had this amazing show set up. We had the fantastic Jim Bovard was coming back on the program to do a long segment with us, and then something happened. I don't know. The digital demons got to us.
They come out.
The voices. I heard them, and then the woman crawled out of the screen, and I didn't share the tape. Yeah, and long story short, we lost the whole thing. But Jim was so gracious that he decided to redo the whole segment for us this week.
Wow.
So
That's
this show,
really nice.
in a weird way, this show is actually last week's show. So put on your last week hat, because this is last week's show today.
We should make a whole nother show and call it that.
Last week's show today, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people do that already. It's called a rerun. But it never actually ran. It was just for us. It's it's just for our entertainment.
We'll make inside jokes all week.
Honest to God, this whole show is really just for our entertainment, to be honest with you.
It is.
Yeah.
So I say I'm playing TV on the internet with my friend.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, whole lot of news that we've glossed over the last couple of weeks. The WNBA All-Star Game was this past week, and the players, making a big political statement, came out wearing these shirts right here. Check this out. Pay us what you owe us.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'll have you know we did the math, and according to reports in 2024 last season, it's estimated that the WNBA lost $45 million. It's $45 million. And so with an active player base of $133, that means each WNBA player is entitled to negative $340,000.
Oof.
So,
I don't think they make enough to cover that.
Well, that'd be, that's part of the problem, isn't it? Anyway, will that be cash or card? Yeah. So, speak also in late night news. Oh my goodness, Dave. I can't believe it. One of our fierce rivals over there in CBS announced that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert has been canceled.
Oh.
Citing financial reasons. Now, to be clear, they're not just canceling Stephen Colbert. They're actually getting rid of The Late Show. It's going away.
Wow.
Boy.
That's actually a big deal.
It turns out, reports came out on this as well. It turns out The Late Show was actually losing CBS $40 million a year. That's WNBA numbers right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
So, so we did the math. It turns out if Stephen Colbert returns his salary, then he will still owe the network $25 million to bring his program back to the air.
I don't think it makes that much.
I tell you what, losing $40 million a year, sign us up. We could do it, Dave, you and me. We could lose $40 million. Like, nope. Lose. Yeah, I could lose the network way more money than that. Yeah.
Legal fees alone.
Yeah. Boy, speaking of loss, oh man, big rippy Black Sabbath fans around the world are in mourning for the recent passing of Ozzy Osborne. Do we have a picture of Ozzy Osborne?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, that's rough.
That's too bad. Yeah. God damn it, that guy's dead too. Jesus Christ. Now I kind of feel a little bad. I liked him. Also, a lot of talk about the Epstein files going on the last couple of weeks. It's will they or won't they? Are they going to be released? Are they not? Do they even exist? Maybe they do. Trump says don't talk about it, but now they're saying Trump's name is in the report. Hard to tell what's going to happen. But tell you what, perhaps nobody was more upset with the way the case has been handled than Sesame Street's very own Elmo. Elmo, who had this to say on Twitter last week. Hey, Dave, the monitor's behind the camera. Can you read that for the audience if you don't mind? Thanks.
Nah, I'm I'm just gonna leave it up for a minute. Let them.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay. All right. Yeah. It's probably
That ought to
enough.
get us canceled.
So Dave. Oh my God, Dave, you're not gonna believe this. Our team actually reached out to Elmo for comment, and he actually delivered.
Whoa.
So here is Elmo's response to last week. Check it out.
Hey, Alan, it's Elmo here. So, yeah, those posts on X, that was not done by Elmo. It was hacker. Elmo was hacked by the hacker. Elmo had a hacker take over his Twitter feed. Elmo did not post those things on X. That was a hacker. Elmo never said things like that. It was a hacker. Never said things like that. Well, anyway, Alan, it was good talking with you. And remember, Elmo was hacked. Elmo was hacked by the hacker.
Well, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Aaron remembers in chat. Elmo once sued me over the use of the name "It's Too Late." That's only OG fans will remember that. But I'm glad we worked it out. So I'm glad he's still making appearance. Yeah, that was definitely him. That's right, Keith. That was definitely Elmo. And you can clearly see by the image. Hey, Dave.
It's solid.
What time is it?
It's time for meme of the week.
That's me and Dave, actually. Dave's taking me out.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to the bar, but
Getting you a damn job.
yeah. We'll see about that. But we do have a bonus meme. Check out the bonus meme.
Come see what Elmo did.
Oh, God.
Well, what have you done, Elmo?
Well, Elmo wrote his own song. Do Snuffy and Big Bird want to hear it?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Nigga, how Hitler? Nigga, how Hitler? They don't understand the thing.
It's fine. The strengths in your character will bring you serenity.
Nah.
That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
I tell you what, I feel like I'm all sewed up on building character around here. We're done. we're done.
That's enough character building for one lifetime.
Yeah. Speaking of being done, we're actually already over time, and we haven't even done the viewer count yet.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, because we got this whole big segment with Bovard coming up. So, you know what that means.
Yeah, I do.
We're just going to go ahead and do all the viewer mail anyway, yeah.
With the long intro.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's always the longest one. God, we could lose $40 million.
Easy.
Yeah, like they just lost a commercial break right here.
We just get sponsors earlier in the show.
Yeah. 1-800-SLOP-GOY now. All right. Jonathan Carranza writes, Dear Alan and Dave, what is your most memorable dream?
Oh.
Dave got a memorable dream?
I don't know. There's one from when I was a kid. I was still living in my childhood home, and I had a crush on this girl. It was in grade school, and I dreamt that I could like fly and stuff, and like I was in my basement, and she was in there, and I was like swinging from the rafters and stuff, and floating around, and I landed in a laundry basket. Dreams never make sense, but I felt really cool. You know, I was showing off.
See, the thing for me is that I've reached the point, like my psychotic dreams, I'm to the point now where I can, like, I'm in control. I always know when I'm dreaming, you know?
Oh, always. Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
Yeah. For me, it's really more the daydreaming. You know how like you kind of just space out in the middle of the day, you're in the middle of doing something, you just kind of zone out for a minute and it's almost like you're transported to a different time and place. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a smell, maybe it's something you remember and it just kind of, I remember very vividly, and this was a couple of years ago, I had one of these, and I was just suddenly transported back to Florida when I lived down there, and it was it was a rainy day. It was daytime, but it was cloudy, so it looked dark, you know, and a lot of moisture in the air, and there's just something like I could smell the sea breeze. It's like, man, I was there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is weird because I was in Tennessee, and also I was driving.
But you weren't there. You were.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't behind the wheel. I was just, you know.
That sounds dangerous. Okay.
Well, I remember it, don't I? All right. Gary Dykstra writes, "Dear Alan and Dave, what celebrity should be forced to play the Squid Game?" I finished watching the final season of Squid Game recently. We're gonna do our Squid Game finale review, maybe in a week or two. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
But who do you think should play the Squid Game?
I get the concept of the show. It's like I don't want anybody to have to fight for their life, but I think if anybody was going to do it, I think it'd be fun to watch Tom Cruise do it. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, he'd be in it to win it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
think he'd do a good job.
You think of those celebrities like he doesn't use stunt people, you know. He's just
swinging around out there.
Yeah, I like it.
I think that'd be fun.
Melissa McCarthy.
Ooh.
That fat bitch would be dead game one, and it would just like they'd have to bring an industrial sized casket to get her out. It'd just be lovely. It'd be great. Anyway. She should count as she counts as 2 contestants.
Okay.
Oh no, this isn't a bit. I just really hate Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. Oh, I can feel it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Aaron Kettner writes, "Dear Alan and Dave, would you rather poop once a year, but it takes 24 hours and feels like childbirth, or poop normally, but every time a live stream of it is broadcast on your channel?"
Like how graphics is live stream?
We should probably look into getting a new mod, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like me and Dave are kind of experts at live streaming, so that's even changed my life for me. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's
Make it into a bit.
Yeah. I'm just going to have YouTube going on my phone. So
you guys can watch me play Sudoku.
Yeah. Yeah. See, no, I can't play any games. That's when I zone out and I'm in another place and yeah. Brooke Atkinson writes, "Dear Alan and Dave, would writing a book about wasting time be a waste of time?" About as big a waste of time as viewer mail so far, I think. Yeah. Considering we had negative 40 seconds left in the segment when we started.
Starting out.
Yeah. So, anyway, Brooke, you should do that. You should write a book.
Yeah.
Celeste Annis writes, "Dear Alan and Dave, have you ever had poison ivy?" Dave, you ever gotten poison ivy?
I grew up in the county. I grew up in the woods and never had it. So I actually don't think I'm allergic to poison ivy because I've had to have come into contact with it. Had to have.
Oh,
never had any.
We should stream that.
Oh, a test.
Yeah. Let's stream it.
I'd do it.
Okay.
How bad could it be? I'm gonna find some.
Yeah, I mean, it won't kill you. It's fine. Yeah. All right. I think that's one of those that we have to raise money for. If you want to see Dave just take poison ivy and just
lather
like that, that's how much is that, Dave? You think 500?
Oh yeah, easy. I don't know about my face, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's 500 for me. You know the number we have to get.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Lauren Michelle Wagner writes, Dear Alan and Dave, damn.
Oh.
Damn. Right?
I guess. Yeah, seriously.
Lauren, we'll try again next week. Don't give up. Andrew Avery writes, Dear Alan and Dave, are bra jokes uplifting?
Down there.
Wow.
Get it?
I'm so glad we didn't cut viewer mail from this week's show. Corey Durst writes, Dear Alan and Dave, is it possible to eat just the right amount and type of food to produce no waste?
That was in a movie.
What? Like, I mean, I can admire the want to have a maximally efficient day,
Yeah.
but I'm concerned that that's like our second poop question in one week's viewer mail.
The mod's already got a link for the poison ivy.
That's fantastic. Oh, very good. Okay, well, yeah, you guys, yeah, that's the link to. It's great. Just click on that link and send us the money, and we'll go get some poison ivy for Dave. Maybe we should try some different ones like oak and
Schumacher. What it says in their stuff? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Mary will not like that. Well, God.
No.
Speak at the devil and she shall appear. Mary Lynn Wilimowski writes, Dear Alan and Dave.
Ooh.
If you were to get a tattoo, what would it be, and where on your body would it go? Thinking about tattoos, Dave?
No, I think this is just kind of a random one, but I guess off the top of my head, I'd get Richard Watterson from The Amazing World of Gumball in the one scene where he's like looking down the barrel of his nail gun and he's out on the roof. That made me laugh so hard. Here, I have it on hand.
Oh,
that, yeah, right on my back, like all across my back.
Maybe it's Mary that's thinking about getting a tattoo.
It could be. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it.
Okay. Well, if there's some whole like, midlife crisis-y kind of stuff going on over there, you might want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Before we take our next break, guys, we always appreciate your support on the show. But if you're watching on Twitch, go ahead, subscribe to the channel.
It's easy.
And if you got Amazon,
you Amazon Prime. Yeah.
It's free if you got Amazon Prime. That's exactly right. YouTube, those likes and shares, the watch time percentage is really important. I tell you what, just put us on repeat on YouTube and just go to bed. Yeah. I don't give a shit if you watch it. You know what I mean? Just
play it.
Just make Skynet watch it for days. Yeah, actually, I don't know about that because. Yeah, I don't know about that because GPT already knows you.
A little too well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, to be honest.
It's creepy.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to be back with Jim Bovard right after this commercial break. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Our guest this evening is actually a little bit overdue. Jim and I had talked about doing a post 100 days of Trump 2.0, and I think we missed it by about 100 things. I think we're getting closer to 200 than 100. But his latest article here, my 46 years of contempt of Congress, which also gave us this lovely thumbnail. Look at that young whippersnapper up in the top left corner. Jim Bovard, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Alan, thanks for having me on. Thanks for plugging the article, and I'm looking forward to you restoring my faith in the Trump administration.
Oh, my goodness. Well, boy, do I have some bad news then. I tell you what, I'm getting just this massive wave of deja vu all of a sudden. You and I sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be a trend here lately, so...
Well, speaking of that, before we get into Trump 2.0, since I already referenced the article, 46 years of contempt of Congress, there was one line in the article that I particularly liked, being a fella from the Appalachia myself. The New York Times labeled you, quote, a writer currently in exile in the Appalachian Mountains. I tell you what, I bet they don't pronounce it Appalachian. I bet they say Appalachia.
They might just say redneck. I don't know. I mean, it was somewhere, that was before that area was known as a flyover state. And I don't think that the New York Times editors have spent a lot of time at the Virginia Tech campus or even in Roanoke, and Bristol, not a chance in hell. Johnson City, I don't think so. But no, I was trying to find a line to describe myself in the pitch letter. This is a satire the New York Times ran back 46 years ago. It was my first piece I sold to them. First piece I sold to a national newspaper. And I was making fun of Congress had just started the all-volunteer military 6 years earlier. And there a lot of members of Congress were pissing and moaning that it cost too much. And a lot of the new recruits had a bad attitude. And, we got to make young people patriotic, so on and so forth. So they were pushing to restore, bring back the conscription. So I wrote a piece on the failure of the all-volunteer Congress, just doing mirroring point by point how Congress itself was a failure. And it was a long time ago, so newspapers would still publish that kind of thing. Nowadays, sure. I don't know.
Well, just really quick, 46 years. What sins have you committed in your life that you've deserved 46 years of covering Congress?
Well, I was raised Presbyterian, so I have a lot of penance to do.
Okay.
So, it was old style Presbyterian, so I was predestined to spend my life writing pointless articles about Congress. So.
I think the young people these days refer to that as cope. That's what that is. That's cope. Yeah, cope. You're coping right now. This is the story you're telling yourself to make it all okay.
Well, it was a good excuse to drink a lot of beer over the years.
Well, okay. Well, that's fair enough. Now you could be a Southern Baptist as long as you do it every day except for Sunday. On that note, so Trump 2.0, we missed the 100 days mark by just a tad, but I wanted to, for the sake of fairness, because you know me, I'm nothing if not fair on this program.
This is a novelty, you changed your program since I was here last. You're going to ruin your image, dude. Okay, all right.
But we're going to try our best to start off with, we're doing like that compliment sandwich thing, right? Well, we're going to start off with the good things. If we could pick out some of the positives.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the positives of Trump's second term thus far, before we get into maybe some of the challenges he's faced so far. So what are some of the good things that have happened since Trump's second term started?
Well, Trump did lay off a lot of federal employees. Trump has shut down, I think, most of the education department. He canceled a lot of the foreign aid grants. He pulled in the reins on the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, so they're no longer prosecuting private companies who refuse to hire ex-convicts. He's basically, he says he's torpedoed the diversity, equity, and inclusion. He has basically made it clear there are only two genders, and it's what you're born with, and deal with it. There was something else. No, I mean, there's some other policies he's done that had some that had a much better compass. Part of the baseline here is that you had Biden pushing us closer and closer to war with Russia, and my hope was that Trump would be less likely to, start World War III compared to Biden or Harris. There were so many levels of bullshit with the Biden and the Ukraine, and of course, it didn't come out until after the election. One of my favorite examples, New York Times had a piece on all the different things Biden was doing to push the war, and there were so many levels of BS. The U.S. was sending a lot of military advisors to Kiev, but in parallel to Vietnam, the Biden administration did not want to admit that. So what was the title or label that they were using for the Pentagon people they were sending to Kiev? Subject matter experts. They weren't military advisors, they were subject matter experts. And that's a phrase that captures the level of complete bullshit which is permeating U.S. foreign policy under Biden. I'm not saying it's gotten any better under Trump, but it was understandable that Biden's antics would have people saying, anything would be better. I didn't say that, but, I was very critical of Biden.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been called a lot of things in my day, Jim, but I've never once been called a subject matter expert. So,
yeah, that's something which hasn't been on my CV either. So, a Kelly Girl type is Santa Claus, giant rabbit, not subject matter expert.
Well, on that note, moving on to kind of a short list of these are really broad topics. We'll try to be as brief as possible, but be fair. Starting with kind of the more recent one that's been in the news lately, as opposed to the very start of his administration. Let's talk a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, one of Trump's biggest campaign promises was that if I get elected president, we're going to get in there. We're bringing in Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. We're going to go through the Epstein files and we're going to make it public. We're going to release the Epstein files. That's not the tune he's singing these days as of the middle of July, is it?
Well, Trump deployed 1,000 FBI agents and employees who apparently were going through those hundreds of thousands of pages 24/7 for over a month. And then a couple 10, 12 days ago, they issued a memo, said there was nothing to see here, wink, wink. But it was actually worse than that, because that memo started out saying, as part of our dedication to transparency, and then there's, there just was nothing to see here, except there was one very specific at the end of the memo. And that was Trump and his FBI folks sought to completely settle any controversy about whether Epstein had been murdered in prison, because they say, okay, we got the raw video here from the prison. You just take a look at it. Here's a link, this should settle it completely. Well, Wired magazine looked at and found about 3 minutes missing. And you had the attorney general who was asked about this, and it was one of the funniest damn answers of the year in D.C. She said, well, yeah, there was a minute missing, but that's how it always is on these prison videos. The thing they do is use the video over each night. So there's always the same minute missing. And I'm thinking, like, don't they have better liars in this administration, for the love of goodness? It's like, how dumb do they think they were? But Trump followed that up by basically condemning any of his previous supporters who did not, clap like trained seals for his nonsense.
Yes, there's going to be a running theme, I think, for a lot of the topics that we have to go over, which is if you're a very public member of his own support, of possibly even his own administration, possibly a wealthy or influential elite that helped get him elected. Trump has proven time and again, there's nobody he won't throw under the bus. It's very much a "what have you done for me lately" environment within Trump's orbit. Speaking of that video, I know that we had made the quip before that, if you're listening to this and you find yourself in federal lockup and you're a hitman, just wait till 11:59 p.m. You got a minute. Do whatever you need to do and get out of there in 60 seconds. There won't be a shred of evidence to prove you did anything wrong. But to me, Jim,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to me, Jim, what is so striking is that the story from, I'm old enough to remember when all those right-wing influencers were walking out of the White House, all smiles and holding their Epstein files phase 1 binders. It's how quickly... Yes, how quickly the narrative changed from we've got the files, we're going to release them, to they're on my desk, Pam Bondi, they're on my desk, we're going to review them. Kash Patel saying, he's going to turn the Hoover Building into a museum to the deep state, and we're going to release the files. And then it was, well, there's all of this explicit, child pornography obviously being involved. There's all this explicit stuff. We're going to comb through that. We're going to make sure that just the relevant information gets leaked. But then, I mean, in the blink of an eye, a matter of days or weeks, it turns into, well, actually, there's nothing. Well, if there was nothing, I mean, it's like, when were you lying? Were you lying then or are you lying now? Either way, we know these people are liars. Can you think of a story, a scandal this big, where not only does it involve so many people, but the official narrative changes? I mean, hour to hour, day to day. Well,
it's not Bill Clinton in charge of lying. Bill Clinton was a much smoother prevaricator. I've been amazed to see how clumsy these verbal flip-flops have been by the Trump team. But there's a level of arrogance there. Going back to that prison video, so there was a movie that Vice did, a film documentary that Vice did. I guess it came out a year after Epstein was met his end, and it had some fascinating stuff about that prison cell, because it was like there wasn't anything to tie the bed sheets onto at the top. Mm-hmm. So he basically had to tie it to a level post and lean into it for like 9 minutes. And it was very strange. Michael Moore had one of the best comments. He said, this is a guy who never did anything for himself. He had servants who do everything except tie his own shoe. Do you think he knows how to tie a noose? And I mean, I was a Boy Scout. I learned some knots. A noose I didn't learn, a noose I didn't remember, but I mean, there were so many levels of complete BS. There was a funny video online today of Tucker Carlson talking to Trump. I don't know what year the interview was. It was before he was elected. And Trump was saying, yeah, kind of strange, cameras broke, didn't have this. Yeah, pretty suspicious. But now it's like Trump has sprinkled his holy water over every aspect of the federal cover-up. And this is could be completely disastrous for him, because Trump now owns the cover-up of the death of Epstein.
Yes.
Maybe he was murdered, maybe he wasn't, but the story we've been given is complete bullshit. And this is my sense of where Trump is right now. He's kind of like the Japanese aircraft carriers at the Battle of Midway, and you've had 3 or 4 waves of American attack planes that they shot all down, and each time that they shoot down some of the attack planes, they say, we've won the battle. And then, these dive bombers come in from direct overhead and blow them to pieces in 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So Trump is in a situation where there are so many things which could leak out, including that copy of that birthday card that he supposedly sent Epstein. I don't, it's interesting. Having dealt with Wall Street Journal editors, they seem risk averse and painfully so at times. And to think that they would go with that story without having some very clear copy, at least, of that birthday card, it doesn't seem probable to me. So, but there are so many other things. There was a video online today was getting pumped up. It was Trump on Howard Stern, 2006. Howard Stern asked him, well, if you weren't married, would you be able to get any women that you want? Oh, yeah, sure. I'd be able to have any 24-year-old. And Stern's co-host asked him, is there an age cutoff? Yeah, well, 12 years old, And it's just like, and again, my impression is that Trump was not out there diddling young girls, unlike Epstein and a shitload of other people. So there was a story that the conservative media hated on Saturday that talked about the close ties between Trump and Epstein, and it casually mentioned that 13 minutes into the story that in 2008 that Epstein was granted total immunity by the feds, as well as all the other co-conspirators.
Yes,
and it's like, I've never seen this in a case before. I've sure as heck never seen this in a case of pedophilia. And you had Epstein's partner, Maxwell, the lady from Britain, whose father was a top Mossad guy, and she gets immunity. All the other guys who were there, who flew to either Palm Beach or New York or the island to sexually abuse young girls, and they just give them total immunity for what? Usually, if immunity is granted, it's in exchange for testimony or evidence. There was nothing here. It was just like, okay, haha, case is over. This is bizarre.
Yeah, I know that because I recently had watched Daryl Cooper, Martyr Maid. He was on Tucker Carlson recently, and they were talking specifically about kind of just basically a 2.5 hour background of who was Jeffrey Epstein. Look at all these connections he had made despite having modest qualifications at best, and yet he's rubbing elbows and getting opportunities around the world.
Which I'll say in Epstein's defense, he was a college dropout. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, that is very true. A college dropout.
Go ahead.
I know, but just the simple fact that no rational thinking person that has looked at the wealth of information that is already public. We're not waiting on binders. The information that's already public makes it very clear that this guy was in the social circles, in the orbit of a lot of nefarious people, a lot of people intelligence around the world. Daryl Cooper actually described him really more as a mercenary. His opinion was, I don't, because he kind of sounded a little bit like what you had said just a moment ago. It's that, I'm not necessarily saying or accusing Donald Trump specifically of being involved in Epstein's activities. And I'm not even necessarily saying that Epstein only ever worked for one outfit or worked for one nation against another. I think that he was a mercenary that worked for a lot of different intelligence around the world. But to say that, that to pretend that there's just nothing there, just seems laughable. But I do agree with you. I think that at this point, because there's so many other things I want to talk about this evening as well. But for me, the biggest point from a political standpoint is Trump has made the enormous miscalculation that if he just waves his magic wand on Truth Social and tells everyone, this is a nothing burger. No one's talking about Epstein anymore. No one cares about that, despite the fact that very, very huge amounts of people on any side of the political spectrum very much still care about Epstein and the official story. He thought this was all going to go away, and I just don't see how he could possibly think that.
He's had too much smoke blown up his butt. I mean, with the way he talks about himself and his role in history in the world right now, it's disconcerting to hear him quote Napoleon. There is no law for the savior of your country. I don't think so, actually. But I'm astounded to see how Trump has played this. But it's also possible that what seems irrational to you and I is simply because we are missing the key piece to the evidence, that we're missing the Rosetta Stone. And that might be that the evidence that's being suppressed is far more damaging than what you or I think.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, I did see an argument that was made. Now, I'm not saying I endorse this argument, and neither was the person making the argument, by the way. This is just playing devil's advocate. There is the possibility that if all of the Epstein information would come to light, it would implicate so many people, so many powerful people, so many rich people in Hollywood, people in Congress, people in Washington, people in governments around the world, that it would genuinely risk a revolutionary era of information, that there would be so many people that there would be cries to bring all of these people to justice, that it would literally bring the state as we know it to a halt. Now I know you and I are saying, be still my beating heart. We certainly wouldn't put the tabs on that. But to look at that from Donald Trump's perspective, he's thinking, to your point, I don't want to be the president that presides over this. I have my own agenda. I want to pursue my agenda. If all of this stuff comes out, then this is all over. This whole house of cards falls, and I don't want to lose my opportunity to make my mark in history. And I feel like ultimately it jeopardizes, because I do think that he's among the most egotistical, vain people in existence, and he feels like this is not how he wants to be remembered, as the person mired in the Epstein case. But of course, it's kind of like that Barbra Streisand effect, right? That he says, well, I don't want to be tied to Epstein, but every time he says that out loud, everyone says, what's the deal with Trump and Epstein?
Well, it's possible that the shocking revelations could shake a lot of foundations of power in different countries. But what Trump is doing is gambling his entire presidency on the Epstein cover-up, because he is covering up a vast amount of information. Maybe it does not personally implicate him. I think that there's going to be a lot more embarrassing information about his ties to Epstein and being his wingman and stuff like that. than what's come out already. And throwing a $10 billion lawsuit because someone said he sent a birthday card. This is, and you filed that lawsuit. That exposes the White House to discovery. Having Trump sit down and answer a lot of questions. I don't think he could. I think that'd be very much in his not in his interest, and it wouldn't surprise me if they withdraw the lawsuit. But it would also not surprise me if the Wall Street Journal drops a second shoe and a third shoe. So.
Yeah, I will say this because there's let's see, five other bullet points I wanted to get to, and we're on pace for about a 3-hour conversation. So we're gonna try.
We'll draw the curtain of mercy.
Yeah, we'll put a pin on the Epstein thing for now. All I'll say on that is something that Tucker Carlson said that I loved, which was a lot of people think that when push comes to shove, they're just going to hide behind NatSec. They're going to say, oh, it's a matter of national security. We can't talk about X, Y, and Z with Epstein. But of course, that obviously begs the question, whoa, wait a minute. What does this international child sex trafficking ring have to do with our national security? Well, on that note, let's move on to a little bit of economic matters. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Trump 1.0 was in office, and the Congress had handed him an omnibus spending bill, and he proudly stood up with, of course, pen in hand, mind you, proudly stood up pen in hand and said, well, I guess I'll put my old John Hancock on this one, but I will never sign another one of these ridiculous spending bills ever again. I want single issue bills, and we're not going to run up the deficit anymore. Now, you fast forward to Trump 2.0, not only is he ready to put pen to paper on more deficit spending bills, but he actually threatens to primary anyone who's against it.
Yeah, and it's shameless. It's shameless. I mean, it's sort of like, with Trump's reaction in his first term to that kind of thing, it was like you're standing outside a detox center and the guys are being finally released, and they'll say, never again. Next week, they're back in detox. But no, Trump was, there are a lot of people who grant Trump basically a blank check because so many of his opponents are so vile and dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the Democrats in Congress, a lot of the Democrats in the media, and some of his supporters in the media. But that doesn't make Trump an honest man, and it doesn't make him trustworthy. And he's been a complete disaster in the budget. The whole idea of raising the debt ceiling by $5 trillion in this bill, and Trump basically browbeat Congress to pass the bill. And I would not be surprised if that was his high watermark of influence in Washington, because it was just after that the walls started to fall in on the Epstein stuff, and Trump's reaction has been so unhinged. There are a lot of people who didn't follow the Epstein case, but they're seeing Trump, raving about this, and to see some of these Truth Social posts. And personally, I'm just very upset that he's criticizing troublemakers, because this hits home.
Well, speaking of that, this might be a good place to insert our more recent information that we would have missed last week. I don't think most conservatives would tell you that they were particularly happy with the job that Speaker Mike Johnson has done as Speaker of the House, and yet Trump was one of his biggest supporters. He fully endorsed Mike Johnson getting another round as Speaker, but things don't seem to be having such a great honeymoon there between Trump and Speaker Johnson. What's going on there?
Well, it's, I was skeptical of Johnson. I did a story for New York Post probably about a year and a half ago. Johnson went to the National Prayer Breakfast. This is when all the politicians get together and pray that God will destroy all their political enemies. Tartuffe is the patron saint of that breakfast. I assume I'm just assuming that your viewers are fluent in French, but that's a different story. But so he was sitting there at this breakfast, and I guess he sat next to Biden at the breakfast, and there was some Italian singer, some well-fed guy who kind of high and screechy. Maybe he's an opera singer. People knew him, but I'm thinking I've never heard him on a bluegrass channel, and he was singing some of these Ave Maria, whatever, and Johnson was sitting there with tears pouring down his throat, pouring down his face. Johnson had said at some point that he thought that God had chosen Biden for president, and now I'm sure he's saying the same thing for Trump. He's probably saying the same thing for Israel, the Israeli leader. But there was a line out today that the Congressman Massey's doing great work. He's pushing for a vote to force the Trump people to disclose the Epstein stuff. And Johnson said this afternoon that he's basically going to block that because it's important to give the White House more time to do what they're doing. and I'm thinking, you must be from a very safe district.
Yeah, exactly right. I do want to mention really quick before we move on to our next bullet point, keeping with that theme of Trump gladly throwing anyone under the bus that even remotely comes sideways with him. Man, a big rest in peace to the whole concept of Doge and Elon Musk's efforts there. I'll fully admit I was somebody that I didn't have high expectations, but I thought, well, if someone as bright as Elon can get in there, and if he does nothing else but just simply shine light on a lot of government waste. That'll at least keep the fires burning. That's going to make the base keep the Trump administration a little bit honest. To say, well, look, you campaigned on this, we supported this guy got in here. Here's all this government waste. We want to see votes on cuts. But of course, obviously, the big figures. I think Elon had said something like a couple of $1 trillion. Oh, sure, we'll cut a couple $1 trillion from the budget. I never believed anything like that was going to happen. But the fact that the cuts have been effectively null, whereas the omnibus bill that's passed through is just another gargantuan clinker. And then of course Trump and Elon have their falling out, and Trump is threatening Elon and saying that, what was the threat? He actually said that they were going to look at potentially looking at his citizenship. Of course, Elon is a legal U.S. citizen of the United States. And then ultimately saying that the only reason Elon is mad is because of all those EV subsidies. He doesn't actually have a leg to stand on here, which is not the story that Elon was telling. It's not so much that I have a comment on that. Like I said, I didn't really have high expectations to begin with, but it just goes to show that, look, Elon Musk, whether you like the guy or not, whether you're a big supporter of his or not, the fact of the matter is he's a very wealthy, very influential guy. He's a very smart guy. Look, he didn't necessarily have a stake per se. I mean, sure, there's SpaceX, and I know they have contracts with the federal government. But he himself had made statements plenty of times saying, sure, let's get rid of all the EV mandates. Let's make cuts that may hurt my bottom line, but I think it's the right thing to do, and that's what I was brought in to shine light on. And again, I mean, I feel like the way Trump handled that was just a spit in his face. And now that's a big influential guy that just so happens to own Twitter, by the way, that he's not going to have his support come the midterms, come here on after.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump is often seems to be his own worst enemy. Musk did some great work. Musk helped Trump win the election.
Yes.
Maybe that doesn't count as great work anymore, but there were Doge pointed out a lot of good cuts. A lot of these cuts have been done, and Congress even voted to ratify some of them. These are positive steps. Doge helped expose some of the federal abuses by agencies. I think it's not even the tip of the iceberg. A number of these programs I've been dogging for decades. I mean, the stuff in the agriculture department is like, oh my goodness. There are so many howlers there, but I don't think that they've really gotten started on that. And I don't know if they will, because I mean, the farm bill, I guess, is going to be renewed. There's going to be a vote, I assume, this year for 5 more years of farm subsidies, and I would expect Trump to completely sell out his conservative principles on that, his free market principle. Well, free market and Trump. Okay, I need to cut back on the weed here. So
you almost got through that whole sentence. I applaud.
Yeah, I was doing okay, and then I said, well, no, dude, this is bullshit. So anyhow.
Well, moving on to the next one. Just to save us a little bit of time. Look, when the election was coming down to the wire, and look, I'll be the first. I'll happily admit I would rather had seen Donald Trump win than Kamala Harris. With the information we had at the time, with the rhetoric coming out of the campaigns, and with the previous 4 years of the Biden administration, yeah, absolutely. I don't want Kamala Harris to win because I don't want those people to be rewarded with another 4 years at the wheel with the way they handled running the country, so that obviously meant supporting Donald Trump. We all knew Donald Trump and his proclivity to be a make Israel great again candidate. We all knew that. We all knew his relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, bombing Iran is beyond the pale, and I'm not turning a blind eye to that. All of that is terrible. But to an extent, I expected that. I never expected Donald Trump to be a great anti-Zionist president. But I'll tell you what I did expect more. Candidate Trump said, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine on my first day as president. And now here we are sitting here having this talk in July, and not only is the war still going on, so he missed the 1 day mark by like 180, but not only that, he's actually getting ready to start sending money and arms to Ukraine again. I thought it was not another cent for Ukraine. What happened?
I don't know. I mean, he's, perhaps he bought more stock in Boeing. His policies on so many areas have been so fickle. I don't know if you want to go in that direction now or later, or not in this episode, but there was a mental sharpness he showed at times in his first administration, and a year ago when he debated Joe Biden, he was superb.
Sure. Yeah.
Since then, it's just like, I don't know if he's getting enough sleep, or if he's getting too much this or too much that, or it just seemed like his judgment is not as solid as it used to be, and I don't know if that's circumstantial or long-term decline. So.
Yeah, so this is something that you're actually the one who clued me in on this first, because it's one of those things where I remember back during the election, there were people on the left side of the aisle saying, well, Donald Trump's too old to be running for president, which was really rich considering Biden was already in his 80s. But that being neither here nor there, I'll be honest with you, I sort of tuned it out because I felt like, that's just partisan nonsense. I'm not going to listen to that. But you're right that the Trump that debated Biden, which was not that long ago, I mean, he killed that debate. I happily admit. I mean, Biden sunk himself. But
there was a difference between then and 2020. I mean, Biden would have sunk himself, but Trump kept getting in the way.
Yes.
When he and Biden had debated, and that might have cost Trump the 2020 election because he would not shut his mouth, and he was coming across as rude and abusive. And I mean, it's a real simple thing. If you're doing a debate for votes, don't seem like an asshole.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. But the Trump that we're getting now, fast forward that however many months, just to say really quick, by the time we're sitting here this time next year, he's going to be 80 years old. He's not exactly a spring chicken. He definitely does not seem as sharp and as quick-witted as he was before. I think one of the things that a lot of people have pointed out is that Trump, when he was on Twitter, Trump when he started Truth Social, Trump in his first administration, Trump in his little 4-year vacation before the start of his second administration. The hallmark of Trump, because all of us will always remember the debate stage in the Republican primaries back in 2016 when he's sitting there just grilling Jeb Bush and making a mockery of him and all these other mainstream Republican establishment candidates. It was always the quick one-liners, the gotchas. That was a hallmark of Trump, and look, that's very quick-witted. That was very mental acuity of him. Now we're getting a Donald Trump that posts these 4-page social media posts just rambling on and on about one thing or another. Everything's a hoax. Everything's a leftist scam. Everyone who doesn't do exactly what I say is a bad guy. But, oh, by the way, he's still giving his endorsement to Lindsey Graham.
Yes.
So beyond the fact that we don't agree with his decision making, this is not the same Trump.
Somebody was making the point online that, Trump's posts on Truth Social have become so bad that he sounds like a boomer.
Yes.
Because apparently boomers have a reputation for going on and on and on. And damn, if only I had known that earlier.
Well, there you are. A couple of more quick things before we wrap up here. On our theme of throwing people under the bus, I have to give an honorable mention to Tulsi Gabbard. So in the lead up to the bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran, it was a very much a will he or won't he little give and take there for a few weeks. The mainstream media, to their credit, because there's not exactly a lot of mainstream corporate media pundits that are firing off great zingers at Donald Trump. They had specifically said to him at a presser on Air Force One, your own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified just as recently as this March that the American U.S. intelligence apparatus has conclusively ruled that Iran is not seeking a nuclear weapon. And what do you have to say to that? And Trump's immediate answer was, I don't care what she says. I don't care what she says. That's your director of national intelligence. I don't care what she says. But of course, Trump is getting the real information being, of course, coming from Israel, from Mossad. He doesn't trust the information from his own DNI, from his own CIA, his own FBI, his own NSA.
Appointee from the woman that he chose.
Yes. Yes.
She had a very clear record. I mean, Tulsi, before she got the current job, she often showed a lot of courage in standing up for what she believed in. She took a great deal of heat for meeting with the president of Syria, but she did not disavow that, as far as I know. She's raised a lot of questions, and she seemed like that she was willing to put her reputation and her career online to avoid endless war.
Yeah, absolutely. And her payment for that was, I don't care what she says. To be honest with you, as I sit here now, I'm surprised that she's still a part of the administration. I'm surprised that she either didn't resign or wasn't forced to resign after all that. But the reason why I thought about her in particular was because, of course, Tulsi had previously been on the left side of the aisle politically, and it took some.
Go ahead, Trump. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, that is true. But in all seriousness, it took some political capital expenditure by Trump to get some of these appointees. Not everyone was in favor of a Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence, and not everybody was in favor of the next one I'm going to talk about, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he spent his own political capital to get these appointees, just to then immediately throw them under the bus when they did their jobs.
What's your question?
My question is,
this is what Trump did. Yeah, Trump has had in his first term, he had a number of excellent appointees who he cast overboard, and usually replaced them with people who were far worse.
Sure.
I think of his last Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Trump likes to trust his gut, but he's almost 80, and I don't know that his gut is as wise as it once was, and I don't know if it was ever as wise as he thinks it was. But if Trump was so smart, if Trump is so sacrosanct, how come he had to devote 1,000 FBI agents and employees for 24/7 going through all these files? What was he concerned that might become public?
Yeah, exactly so. Well, Jim, we're running short on time, but I did want to mention one more thing really quick because I would feel bad if we didn't get to. The whole concept of immigration, since we've had this whole theme of throwing people under the bus and this whole theme of failing campaign promises, whether you agree with Trump on immigration or on borders or you don't, I know that the argument's been made that border crossings have come down to a low, I think to a level of something like the 1960s. The Trump administration has done a better job with border crossings, but a large amount of his base didn't vote for him just to eliminate border crossings. They then wanted to then have deportations of the tens of millions of illegals, allegedly as many as 10 million illegals that just came in during the 4 years under the Biden administration. And Trump seemed planning on delivering on that with gearing up ICE to go after illegals currently in the country. But then just another one of those reversals just in the last couple of weeks. Trump now says, well, I've had some productive talks with, to put it another way, lobbyists in various industries, whether it's hotel service, whether it's agriculture. And I've decided, actually, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go after these people. We're going to look at some blanket amnesty for people within certain industries, because that's what I'm hearing from our business leaders. That's I don't think as people online like to say, whenever he does something they like, they'll say this is what I voted for. I saw a lot of people saying this is not what I voted for. I feel like immigration is just the latest thing he reversed on.
So is that Trump's current position? Because I was thinking, yes, Trump did do a flip flop. I thought I'd heard that he at least partially flipped back the other way and was signaling, well, I didn't mean it, or this, that, or the other. I don't know. It's unfortunate when you've got to get twice a day updates on national immigration policy to find out what the heck's going on. I mean, Trump made a positive change compared to Biden, because Biden had opened the southern border wide open. Anybody could come in and they would get these. So it was so bad that okay, if you or I were flying, we need to have very good federally recognized ID. People were allowed to take TSA allowed people to take flights simply by showing their arrest warrant at the border. I mean, you would show your arrest warrant. Okay, that's good enough. Get on the flight. And they would, a lot of them got free tickets. And one of the things that Trump is trying to do is to end federal subsidies for people who are here not as legal residents. And this is a far better way to try to curtail illegal immigration than by launching these wild raids on every Home Depot parking lot in the country, where you end up using a huge amount of force against people who are nonviolent.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, that you can sum up this era in American history, and definitely Trump's second term, as you're getting multiple breaking news updates every single day from positions being swapped one way and then another and then back the first way again. I guess it's just the consistency. The consistency in Trump 2.0 is not there. There was those initial 2 to 3 weeks where there was the tons of executive orders. Ross Ulbricht got freed. I do feel the need to mention that. I forgot that earlier in the show. I was very much in favor of that, and he did do it. That was a promise kept. That's fantastic. But ever since that time, it's just been chaos. And I guess what I'll leave with, and I'll let you have the final word, is that with Trump, it just seems like we're going to look back on this time in the future, and depending on how the Epstein thing plays out, depending on whatever, Trump is completely convinced that everything, the way he's handling all of these different things, because he is the leader of the free world allegedly, is the right way, and he's so willing to tell members of his own base, well, you're bad people, well, you don't matter. I think in one of his social media posts, he actually referenced them as past supporters. He's talking to his own base now that doesn't agree with the way he's handling things. He says, oh, those are just past supporters, they don't matter. Man, these people are going to get absolutely destroyed in the midterms.
It's a long ways from here to there, but something that's, I think, Trump, maybe Trump doesn't realize, maybe Trump recognizes it, but Trump is facing far more perils from this Epstein stuff than what most people recognize. There are so many potential torpedoes coming his way. There are so many landmines out there. And every time that Trump makes these sweeping statements saying that nobody cares, or it's only bad people who want the information, he is activating those landmines. And Trump has embraced the cover-up of the death of Epstein. And he's probably also embraced the federal deals from 2008 that gave immunity to all these child molesters and to the child traffickers. And I'm not saying everybody, what I'm not saying is we're all these billionaires or all these Democrats or all these Republicans. There are probably at least dozens of guys who they have on video, thanks to Epstein, sexually abusing underage females. And to give them blanket immunity makes no sense. And these are things which need to come out. Maybe the statute of limitation has expired on some of these. I don't know. But there is no excuse for dropping this iron curtain to shroud a bunch of wealthy, well-connected child molesters, which is what Trump is doing.
I'll end it on this, because I think this is something that you had mentioned to me before privately, but I don't think we had it on tape. Do you think President Trump is going to get impeached again?
Yes. I think he is. I mean, it would not surprise me at all if it happened. So I guess I would, coming at this from a very cynical point of view, at the rate Trump is going, he is risking losing so much support among Republican members of Congress. I mean, I think a lot of people think if the Democrats take the House in the midterms next November, 2026, that Trump will face impeachment. Trump could face horrendous problems before that because if he is taking all his prestige and all these lies, I mean, because the latest story is that Trump has told the Justice Department to share the information that is credible as far as in the Epstein investigation and the grand jury. Well, Trump has not been credible on this subject since he started yammering weeks ago, and since he promised to release the data and he double-crossed his supporters and everybody else in America. So for Trump to use the term, well, we'll share the credible information. Well, I guess it's not coming from you, Chief.
Well, on that note, Jim, you've done it again. I think even though this all, again, man, that deja vu is just washing over me, this entire conversation. But on that note, Jim, where can people go to support you and find more of your content?
Okay, I've got my website, jimbovard.com. I've got an Amazon book page with, I guess, 11 or 12 books there you can buy. At least 1 or 2 audio books are there, a number of Kindle books. A lot of places I write for American Conservative, Libertarian Institute, Future Freedom Foundation, Mises. I've done quite a bit in the past for New York Post. Going further back, New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. That was before I went to the dark side.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for doing this. I know that we missed our 100-day recap by a little ways, but I was just thinking to myself, because we're way over time. I got to wrap this up. I was just thinking to myself, man, what would be a good time to have Jim come back to kind of play points on, how did we do on our predictions, how crazy have things gotten. But if we've learned anything from recent news, we could do this all again next week and it'll already be totally different. Much less next month or next 2 weeks. All right, yeah, we'll make it 2 weeks. Jim, thank you so much for coming back on the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks. It was good to come back on. So,
guys, we're going to be back to wrap up the show right after this commercial break. Don't go away. If you're enjoying tonight's show, consider supporting the program by becoming a member of our Patreon. That's over at patreon.com/Alan Mosley.